What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bullish Bears YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a weekly watch list for you guys going into the week of September 5th. This is going to be a short week because Monday was closed due to Labor Day, so we're going to be open in the stock market from Tuesday to Friday. So let's get into it. I'm going to cover a few major large cap stocks. That's going to be including Tesla, NVDA, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. So let's get into it and find some good setups for this week. The first stock we're going to be covering is going to be Microsoft. So on the 1 hour, we can sort of see an inverse head and shoulders. So we have the left shoulder here, the head, and the right shoulder, which would usually push us towards a bull trend, right? An inverse head and shoulders is a bullish reversal pattern. A regular head and shoulders is a bearish reversal pattern. So if I'm looking at this on the hourly, looking at it on the daily to the left over here, we are making that inverse head and shoulders, but we are also coming into a strong 3-hour supply zone that about 2 weeks ago gave us a really nice sell-off. Market opened right inside that supply zone and sold off about $12 right from open. That was a great trade. Really good stuff. I did let people know in our community to watch for the supply zone in Microsoft. This was a great trade, and it came right to our key psychological level of $320. What we did notice was the second time we came into the supply zone over here this past Friday was instead of getting a really strong move lower, we only got about a $5 move, which is telling me that this supply zone is getting weaker because the moves aren't as strong or are not equal to the previous move as well. Another thing that I want to note with Microsoft is that although yes, we have been in this really strong bear trend, recently, I'd say over the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been making higher lows and we've been struggling, but we have been trying to make some higher highs as well, which would signify that we are in a bull trend. So if I'm taking any long positions, I'm going to look for a long position somewhere between 326 and 328, and that's just the estimates. You guys see the exact price here on the chart, and my targets are going to be the 3-hour supply at 331, so about a $3 to $6 move depending on your entry, and I'm going to be looking for the supply zone to eventually break if the market stays strong enough. However, if we stay weak, I'm going to look for us to fail this area of interest. That's this about 325 to 328. And I'm going to look for us to fail and come right back to this key psychological level at 320. A lot of times, guys, the market will sell off a lot stronger than when it goes up, because when people sell, they're panic selling. When people buy, it's a lot harder to push us higher. So I will look for a bearish play to go lower, or I'm going to look for a bullish play to head into this supply zone. And if we push into this supply zone with strength, I'm going to look for a pullback around 334, 335, and a retest of the 332 level, and I'll take some calls right over there because you see how we rejected that key level here. We held it a few times in the past, so I'm going to be looking for a retest of this trend line, this key level, and I'm going to target 336 key psychological level as well, sort of around this 337 level too. After that, though, if we do have market strength and relative strength in the stock, I'm going to be looking for the 343 level to be reached as well. However, if we look at the daily candles, every time we have a really strong sell-off, it likes to try to push back lower. It likes to have these really strong red days. And what we have on Thursday and Friday, we had these pretty strong red days. However, what we have to note is each time we came down over here, we sort of stayed and we held, right? So look, we came to this 326.85 and we kept sort of holding. So our range on Microsoft was about 329.82 to about 326.75. So a little bit of a $3 range could also give us a trade setup as well if we break the range, come back and retest, and then push higher. So the next stock I'm going to be covering is going to be Amazon. Now, Amazon had a bit of a stronger past few days, stronger week than Microsoft has, right? So look how strong these days are. We created a new daily demand zone down here. We created a 4-hour zone right over here. And, Amazon altogether has been creating a lot more support underneath it than Microsoft has. And we could see that on the chart. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for Amazon to continue its bull trend, and right now I'm giving it this range of 137 to 140. And we could see if we zoom back out that this was a range that Amazon was previously in before. So it would make sense for history to repeat itself with Amazon, because it was only a few weeks ago that it did this range, for us to come back into this range yet again. So the goal with trading ranges, guys, is we buy at the lows and we sell at the highs. So I'm going to be looking to buy around 137, and I'm going to look to sell around the 140 level. Now, if we do have strength, I will look to continue making these higher lows, higher low, higher low. We're making this higher high, higher high, higher high. So I could see us potentially breaking this 140 key level based off the fact of the market structure, right? Market structure has been pushing us higher. Maybe we push higher, or maybe we reject there. So it's all about being able to respond and react to our key levels, to our zones, and really trading accordingly. So Amazon's trades, I'll say one more time, I'm either looking to buy at the bottom of this range around 137, sell near the top around 140, and I'm going to use key levels and zones as my targets. So if we break down below 137, I'm going to look to take some puts and target this 4-hour 135 level. If we break above 140 with strength, I'm going to look for calls, and I'm going to target the 142 level. So it's either playing within this range, buying at the low, selling at the high, or playing the breakout with volume and momentum. So the next stock we're going to look at is going to be NVDA. The last thing I do want to say about Amazon, though, is watch this key level around 140, because as we have seen in the past, we have broken it a few times, and every time we tried to break it, sellers stepped in and pushed us back lower. So we really want to be careful that we don't end up in a fake out situation where we're buying the breakout and then it reverses on us. It's always important to let the candles close and look at the market in a whole. Is ES making higher highs? Is NQ making higher highs? Does Amazon have volume on this rally, or is it failing to see that volume? So again, next stock we're going to look at is going to be NVDA. NVDA has been giving us some really fantastic setups lately in our Discord and in our community. The last setup we took was this trendline retest over here, pardon me. And this trendline was also retested right up here around this 497, 498 level, and it's also a 1-hour supply zone. So I'm going to be looking for the same type of setup. I'm going to look for us to come back higher and create another lower high, because now we're creating, this was a higher high, but now we created a lower high, another lower high. I'm going to look for a rejection of this trend line within supply, that's 2 confirmations, to grab puts right up here and to target 486. So this would be about a $10 move right to our first target. I am expecting further down move if the market is weak and if this wants to hold up, because now that's also going to be breaking structure, because again we're making these lower highs after we were making higher highs and after we were also making higher lows. So we took out this previous low right here. We have held lower each time whenever we tried to push higher. So I'm expecting a retest of this 1-hour supply, a push lower to our first target around 486, and then the next target's going to be way at 475, and then target after that is going to be at 467. So if I do see weakness in the market and it feels like there's going to be continuation, I'm really going to be key on taking these NVIDIA puts, and I'm going to be looking to swing trade them with market momentum. I don't want to be trading against the trend. If ES and NQ are pushing up higher, but NVIDIA seems to be the weaker one, I might look to day trade that or trade it until I see that ES and NQ are also going in the similar direction. Another thing to point out is how strong of a sell-off the that we had on Friday, right? We had a really strong candle pushing us lower, broke this area of interest for a moment, tried to pump back higher but failed. So because we're inside this area of interest, I don't want to take any trades. I want to take the reactions to these levels and to these zones. So I'm either looking for us to fail this area of interest at open, retest it, and take some puts on the retest of this zone and go lower, or I'll be looking for a push higher, short it right up top, and then go lower from there. However, if we are looking for a bullish trade, I would maybe buy when we break this zone with volume, or buy on the retest of this zone. So I would want to break, a close above, and then a retest to either make a higher low or a retest of the key level itself, so I could put my stop loss at the previous low as well. That way I know where I'm stopping out and I know where my target is. My target is going to be the 496.75. So the next stock we are going to look at, we did Microsoft, we did Amazon, we are going to look at Apple, and then after Apple we'll be checking out Tesla. So Apple, just like I believe it was Amazon, has been a lot stronger this past week than something like, say, NVDA. So let's look real quick at the daily, right? So we're looking at, this is the daily chart right here on Apple. This was Monday, and then this was Friday. So from Monday to Friday, from the open to close, it's up 5% in the past week, right? Whereas if we look at NVIDIA from, let's go from Monday, the open of Monday, to the close of Friday, it's up 4%, which is still a lot, still a gain, still a green week. However, it ended the week very weak. Not playing words there. But again, we got to look at the daily. We have to look at what kind of candles we're getting. And if we look at Amazon, was another stock that was a lot stronger from when we opened to when we closed. So Amazon's up 3%. Now, however, that's a less percent than it would be on NVIDIA, so we do have to be careful with that. But looking at the candle structure overall, each time buyers stepped in, it really pushed us higher, and we had continuation for a few days after that. However, when we look at the red candles and the bearish days, they sell off, and they sell off strong. So we don't want to be caught in the wrong side of the market. So let's go back to Apple, check out Apple. Now Apple, just like Microsoft, where we had the range we were playing, Apple's been creating a bit of a smoother uptrend. Look at all these higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. It just kept on plowing through. Not much red on last week. The only red candle we had last week was Friday, which for many stocks was a very weak day, while Apple closed nearly exactly where it opened. So it really came back, it showed its strength. Apple seems to be trying to be a leader in this trend lately. So what I'm looking for on Apple is I'm looking for us to get above this 189.46 key level to target 191.01, which is a gap fill. And then the second target is really close. It's the 191.56. That's a 4-hour supply zone. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm looking at for that. So we had a sell-off, we had a basing, and then we had another sell-off right after. So because we have the gap fill right below it, what I'm looking for is I'm thinking that retail is going to see that we filled the gap and they're going to look at that as a form of strength. However, we have the supply zone right above it, so if we break above this gap and fill this gap, we have sellers sitting right above that, and I would much rather be selling with the market than buying against the market. So I'll look for a sell order right at 191.56. A put option is how I will trade this. And I'll have my stop loss around 192.41, so barely a $1 stop loss. And my few targets are going to be this key level at 189.46, and then the following key level at 187.05. So that's if we want to go bearish on Apple. However, like I mentioned, we have been very strong. We barely closed red on the day on Friday, so I could see us pushing higher, and we might even be able to scalp this with some options on Tuesday, almost said Monday. Got to remember Monday is Labor Day, so the stock market is not opened. So see if we get a strong push up right at market open, grab some calls, have our targets ready, and exit when we reach our targets. If we do push right through this gap fill and push through this 4-hour supply zone like it's not even there, I'm not going to jump the gun and get in as soon as we break it. I'm going to wait for a pullback into this zone so I could take that zone and go long. That way, when I go long in this zone and grab some calls, I have my stop loss. My stop loss is the bottom of the zone or where the gap fill will be. My target for calls would be way up here at 196.05. So we have about room for a $5 move, maybe a $4.50 move on Apple if we break this 4-hour supply zone. So I'm really looking for that to play out because Apple has seemed a lot stronger than the previously mentioned stocks. And the next stock we'll look at, last stock we'll go over, is going to be on Tesla. And guys, I will mention again, I said earlier, we do have a Bullish Bears Discord community, and we have bullishbears.com. It's a great way to learn and educate yourself. You always have to invest in your knowledge, and you always have to learn before you earn. So with Tesla, what I'm looking for is this was a really strong demand zone, and at some point it was a really strong supply zone. I'm talking about pretty far back, right? So this was a strong zone. We broke it, and then we started using it as demand, and then we broke it again, started using it as supply. So this is a strong AOI, which is an area of interest. So because we're coming back into it, and we see that we created a daily demand zone right here and wicked right off of that, I'm going to have a few trade setups on Tesla that I'll be looking for. I'll either be looking for a push higher based off of this 4-hour candle right here, how it looks like it wants to be a basing before we get a strong move higher, or I'm going to be looking for us to fail this demand zone and push lower. And the reason for that is because, just like I mentioned with NVDA, how strong of a sell-off we had on Friday. Now, the sell-off on Friday, it could have been people taking profits, the stock market stopping people out and taking profits from those people because the market needs to grab liquidity before it can either continue trend or before it reverses trend. So we could see a pullback from this zone, and what I would look for is a push higher and a retest of this 244.58 zone, and I'm going to take calls and target 255 key level. Once I take those calls, I'm going to target the key level. I'm going to have my second target up at 261.60. And what I'm going to do from there is I'm just going to monitor that trade. If Tesla wants to stay strong, ES and NQ are also making new highs and pushing strong as well. This will be a trade that I would like to swing trade. A strong move higher on Tesla, a swing trade on the weekly. Could even check out what the weekly chart looks like. Let's see. So, but if we look at the weekly chart, look at that. That's a strong move lower. That upper wick tells me that bears stepped in and pushed us way lower. Bears did not accept price at these levels, brought us lower, and we could even potentially be making a supply zone on the weekly if we want to push back lower from here. So the short setup that I'm looking for is a fail of these demand zones, especially this daily demand right here, a push lower, and I would look to enter around 242 or 244 for some put entries, and my target 1 is going to be around 236. My target 2 will be around 232. And again, this might be a trade that if ES and NQ are also weak, this might be a trade that I'm going to look to swing trade due to the market moving in the same direction as Tesla. We always, if we're trading an equity, especially a large cap, it's super important that we trade with the trend of that equity, but we also trade with the trend of the market in a whole, because that's going to help us sort of direct our attention to the more proper trades. So let's say Tesla was weaker, but we had a really strong move on Apple, then we're going to completely scrap the Tesla play, and we're going to look for a good trade setup on Apple. We want to be able to create different trade plans so we could really have different opportunities and different setups awaiting us. So when one doesn't work out, we're not frustrated, we have another one lined up. And that way too, when we make multiple trade plans with multiple stocks, we're really giving ourselves set rules and set parameters to watch for, and we're not just jumping in blindly. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this weekly watch list. Had some good setups coming up for us. I'm going to even extend this little area of interest just so I'm ready for it, because it looks like, look at that, we rejected it before, so that might be a good area as well. So again, something to keep an eye on, and I do appreciate you all for tuning in. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. We go live on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you guys, but we're going to start doing it so it's just for our members. So make sure you sign up, go to bullishbears.com and click join, and you could pick one of the membership programs we have. We have a monthly, yearly, and a lifetime subscription. Hope to see you all there. Happy trading.